Hi, welcome to Best Creative Store. It is a challenge to find the best products that are worthy of your money. Make sure to check the products links below in the description and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. To get notifications, just click on the bell icon.
Hi, I'm Rudy Winston, and I want to welcome you to this introductory series of videos on Canon's EOS 77D. We'll explain some operations and give you information you need to work with many important settings and features this camera offers. In this first episode, though, we'll just take a broad, high-level look at the EOS 77D and its position in the Canon lineup. You might think of this camera as an advanced camera for the cost-conscious customer or for experienced SLR photographers who want control but prioritize compact size and weight as well. Make no mistake, the EOS 77D is aimed at those customers who want to step up to a versatile camera that emphasizes user control, as well as current digital SLR enthusiasts who likewise want to move into a camera that isn't designed around full auto operation. While it's very similar in size, shape, and basic design to many Canon EOS Rebel models, there are differences in the EOS 77D which clearly point towards that more advanced target audience. Perhaps no single control targets the EOS 77D at the experienced photographer or budding enthusiast more than the quick control dial on the back of the camera. Since the very first EOS 1 camera of 1989, the quick control dial has defined Canon's high-end and advanced SLR cameras. This dial gives nearly instant access to exposure compensation and adjustment when you're working in an automatic exposure mode like program or aperture priority. And if you prefer to work in the manual exposure mode, the dial gives direct adjustment of your lens aperture. With the quick control dial, the entire process of exposure control becomes a seamless operation. You can make adjustments with one hand, with the camera at your eye, even in the manual mode. This one dial transforms the entire shooting experience for the serious photographer who understands and wants to apply exposure adjustments. And rather than rely on the large color LCD monitor to continually display basic camera settings as you shoot, the EOS 77D, like our more advanced cameras, puts these settings on a smaller LCD panel on top of the camera. It uses less battery power, and for photographers who normally use the eye-level viewfinder, it's less obtrusive as well. And if you want to see the camera's settings displayed on the big LCD monitor, just press the info button. Another difference, unlike most Rebel models, this more advanced camera has a separate, dedicated AF on button on the back to make back button autofocus easier to work with. All these differences, again, speak to a camera that's aimed squarely at the user who wants more control now, or more room to potentially grow into than he or she would get with an entry-level DSLR. EOS 77D's video recording features make it a very attractive, affordable, and lightweight multimedia tool. The camera has a vari-angle LCD monitor with Canon's touchscreen interface for rapid and silent adjustments, even as you're actually recording. And it's endowed with Canon's dual-pixel CMOS autofocus technology. If you've shot video with digital SLRs that use less effective methods to autofocus, dual-pixel CMOS AF is a game-changer. DSLR video with autofocus suddenly becomes an effective combination, even with moving subjects. We'll have 2 episodes in this series where we'll talk about both video shooting and using this outstanding AF system. Here's a camera with 24.2 million pixels that can shoot RAW or JPEG still images at up to 6 frames per second and has a powerful 45-point AF system when you shoot through the viewfinder. And it shoots full HD 1080p video at up to 60 frames per second. While it has many of the same features as Canon's EOS Rebel T7i, which was introduced at the same time, the EOS 77D is really more of a camera for the photo enthusiast, or the person stepping into his or her first digital SLR who wants more than an entry-level camera. It's smaller and less expensive than our popular mid-range Canon EOS 80D model, while offering many of the same features and nearly the same shooting performance. If you thought size and weight were always an intrinsic part of a mid-range digital SLR that emphasizes user control, you'll agree that the EOS 77D is a new category of Canon EOS camera. Join us for the next episode in this video series as we go deeper into the camera's 45-point AF system for still pictures. For Canon USA, I'm Rudy Winston. Thanks for watching.
I'm gonna send something to my mom, hold on. Yo, Darius Britt here, and let's talk about how you can share your photos and your videos when you're out and about. So we all do this with our smartphones. We take a pic, and then we post it on our social media. But now, if you want to share your stuff that you shot with your Canon EOS Rebel T6i DSLR camera, you can easily do that by wirelessly transferring your images and videos straight to your smartphone. It works through the free Canon Camera Connect app, which is available for iOS and Android devices. Now, for example, I'm going to connect this smartphone to this T6i. When I enable the Wi-Fi function on the T6i, the camera is going to send out a Wi-Fi signal. Then I can connect my phone to that signal like I would any other Wi-Fi network. Now, once I've got a connection, I can use the app. And if you have an Android device, you can actually use NFC technology to boot up the Canon Camera Connect app. Touch your device to the NFC logo on the bottom of the camera, and you're connected. On the apps interface, I can view the photos and videos I've shot and select the ones that I want to save onto my phone. Now, once they're on my phone, I can post it to social media, text friends, emails, however you want to share it. I can also use the phone as a wireless remote. So if I want to be in the picture, or say I set the camera down somewhere and I can't exactly see the back of the camera screen, then I can use my phone screen as a viewfinder. I have access to almost all of the settings I would normally have on the camera. And on my phone screen, I can touch the area that I want to focus on and the camera automatically does it. In fact, the screen on the T6i has this functionality as well because it is also a touchscreen. Plus, it articulates to different angles, which makes operating the camera pretty easy. So that is how you use the Canon EOS Rebel T6i DSLR camera and the Canon Camera Connect app to share your life on the go. For more information, log on to shop.usa.canon.com.
In this episode, we want to tell you how you can get the look that you want in your pictures, using the easy touchscreen controls on Canon's EOS Rebel T7i. I'm sure you've seen pictures where the photographer got everything nice and sharp from foreground to background. And you've probably seen portraits with beautifully blurred backgrounds. How can you go beyond the snapshot look you're used to from smartphones to get these professional-looking images? We'll show you how to get those great shots with the Rebel T7i in this episode. First, a few points. Understand that the lens you're using, where it's zoomed to, as well as how close you are to a subject, will affect whether a scene looks totally sharp or if there's a sharp area with a blurred background. This is the case even for pros who set everything manually. If you shoot with a wider angle lens and there's lots of distance between your camera and your subject, more of your scene will be in focus. And likewise, if you zoom your lens to a telephoto setting, or if you move closer to a subject, it's easier to throw backgrounds out of focus. Sometimes this blurry background is desired because it draws attention to your subject. So don't forget the effect of your distance to your subject and the lens you're using. If you're shooting close up from a few feet away, or with a telephoto lens, you won't tend to get sharp backgrounds, even if you set all the other camera settings manually. Now, let's talk about the camera shooting mode. There's a large mode dial on top of the camera. This is the first place to adjust when you want a specific visual look for your pictures. The most important point I can make: the fully automatic green zone setting is only a starting point. The minute you think you want a different look to the background or overall sharpness in a picture, you've got to be willing to switch to a different shooting mode. It's not hard, and we'll show you how in this video. You may want to just get a good, sharp picture of something like your house, your car, or a group of people at an event. In other words, you want distinct sharpness from front to back. Let me show you some ways to get it. First, go to your mode dial and switch it from the green auto setting to the landscape setting. Right away, your camera changes to get more front to back sharpness. This can even be great for shooting close-up pictures of small objects like coins, flowers, and so on. Even better, set your mode dial to the Special Scene setting, SCN, tap the Q icon, and then tap the Choose Scene icon on your LCD monitor. From the list of different scene types that appear on the left, select Group Mode. By the way, this is new to the EOS T7i and EOS 77D cameras. It's a fully automatic shooting mode that gives even more sharpness throughout a picture. It uses the same type of camera settings a pro would to get that thorough sharpness. Group mode is intended for group photos, but it works just as well to get you more sharpness for anything from close-ups of a flower to landscape pictures when you're on vacation. Again, if you're really close to a subject or using a telephoto lens, there are limits to what even the group mode can do. But if you come upon a scene and think that overall sharpness is what you want, consider the landscape and especially group mode settings as quick and easy tools to get you there. Intentionally blurring a background is a tool that portrait and even sports photographers have used for years to get a professional look to their pictures. It's one way to really draw attention to your subject and remove distractions from the background. You can go beyond everyday snapshots and get a similar look in your photos. Sometimes, especially if you are a few feet from a subject, all you have to do is just focus on it and shoot. Even in the green auto shooting mode, the lens's features alone will help throw the background out of focus. But sometimes, you may see a scene or subject and want to put sharp focus on only one part of the picture, while intentionally blurring the rest. Here are some ways to get that look. For starters, if you can, step closer and zoom your lens in to more of a telephoto setting. Better yet, try switching to a longer telephoto lens, and your backgrounds will usually be thrown out of focus. But you can set the camera to do this too. One way, switch to the portrait shooting mode. This setting intentionally tries to blur backgrounds while keeping sharpness only in the areas where you focus. It's a great look for portraits, but it can be just as good for anything from pictures of small objects to shots of animals at the zoo. Portrait mode works well only if your subjects aren't moving. But if they are, then just switch to sports mode. Now you'll get the same limited sharpness look, but the camera's autofocus is set to continually follow your moving subject. With a longer telephoto lens, you can sometimes get action shots that look like those you see in newspapers and magazines, especially if you put your subjects closer to the camera and fill the frame. There's one final setting I want to talk about: Creative Auto, or CA shooting mode. This is also a fully automatic exposure setting, but it can give you a lot more sharpness control in your pictures. You'll see several on-screen icons in the CA mode. One lets you control background blur. By default, it's off. That means the camera is using standard lens settings based on how much light is in the scene. But if you tap the Q icon and then the background blur icon, a new menu screen appears. Tap it to move the orange indicator from off toward either the blurred or sharp options. If you go all the way to sharp, for example, you may get even more foreground to background sharpness than with the group mode we talked about earlier. With this single background blur command, you can easily change the range of sharpness, front to back, in your pictures. The only disadvantage of Creative Auto is that any settings you dial in are reset whenever you turn your camera off. With settings like group mode, portrait mode, or sports mode, the camera keeps the settings intact, even if you turn it off or take the battery out. So remember, even though you may be new to interchangeable lens cameras, you can still control the overall appearance of your pictures. And you don't need to know a lot of technical photographic terminology to do it. Try out these different shooting modes and start to use them to get that look
If you love to photograph your children and family, travels, and landscapes, you may discover stepping up to an interchangeable lens camera can change everything. It will help you get better pictures and video, with more detail and better color. With the introduction of the lightweight Canon EOS Rebel SL3 camera, this may be the discovery you've been waiting for. As the smallest and lightest Canon EOS digital SLR, the EOS Rebel SL3 is a great camera for anyone stepping up from a smartphone. And it opens the doors to the entire Canon EF lens system. Any Canon EF or EFS lens can be directly attached. This camera has the technology to get you great pictures and video. The Rebel SL3 has a 24.1 million pixel Canon CMOS image sensor, much larger than the sensor on a typical smartphone. Its rendering of skin tones, color, and fine detail will delight you. It can shoot still images at up to 5 frames per second, so it's terrific for kids' sports, wildlife, and action. There are built-in tools like Creative Assist and Feature Assistant to take your pictures even further. You have the versatility of viewing through this camera 2 ways. The eye-level optical viewfinder uses almost no battery power and makes it easy to follow fast action for still pictures. And its vari-angle LCD lets you shoot live view still images or video. Just twist the LCD for fun and interesting perspectives, including selfies. A great feature during live view or full HD video shooting is Canon's fast and accurate dual-pixel CMOS autofocus, now including eye detection AF. It can put tack-sharp focus right on a person's eyes. And the Rebel SL3 is your gateway to shooting and sharing videos. It can shoot beautiful, detailed 4K video as well as full HD, with recording up to a smooth 60 frames per second in full HD. Finally, the Rebel SL3's built-in Wi-Fi, including Bluetooth, makes it easy to shoot and share your imagery. Send images to your smartphone even as you shoot them if you desire. Simple and easy operation is at the core of the EOS Rebel SL3's design, but it has plenty of features, including full manual settings. So it's ready to grow as you are. Add a few Canon EFS or EF lenses, and the Rebel SL3 can take you wherever you want your photography to go. For Canon USA, I'm Rudy Winston. Thank you for joining us.